This is a frog skeleton that my client sent me, and she wants me to preserve it in resin. This is such a cool project. I think it's my coolest one of 2023. So I want to share it with you guys. Projects like this only come once in a while. I'm gonna start on my first layer. This is a disposable measuring cup I'll be using because I only need a very small amount of resin. I'm using KS Resin Liquid Cast. First, I'm going to measure about 1.5 ounces of hardener, and then I'll measure 1.5 ounces of resin so that I have about 3 ounces of mixed resin total. And because it's winter time, it's a little bit cold indoors, even with the heater on. So I've put both bottles of hardener and resin in a warm water bath before I started pouring them out. If your resin seems a bit thicker or it's hard to mix or the bubbles aren't really releasing well and it is winter time or it's cold in your area, doing a warm water bath can really help loosen the resin up and make the process a lot easier and smoother. Now I'm going to use my silicone stir stick to mix the hardener and resin together for about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm finished mixing my resin, so I'm going to pour it directly into my clean mold. And this is a 4-inch by 3.5-inch silicone mold. It's actually used for soap making, but because the inside of the mold is shiny, you can also use it for resin. I'm taking a bamboo skewer and removing any lint or dust that I see, and also moving any trapped bubbles that I see that are in the crevice of the mold. And then I'll let my resin sit for about 20 minutes so the bubbles have a chance to rise on their own. Now the bubbles have risen, and I'm gonna take my heat gun and just quickly pop all the bubbles. I'm not gonna place anything in this layer, it's just gonna be an empty first layer. So I'll let my resin cure overnight and continue this tomorrow. I'm here the next day and my first layer is fully cured, so I'm mixing up another cup of resin. For this second layer, I'm going to use a little bit less resin, so I'm using 2 ounces instead of 3, and I'm pouring it directly into my mold. I'll repeat the steps that I did for the first layer, where I use my skewer to move the bubbles, and then I let the resin sit for 20 minutes, and then put my heat gun over it. The reason I'm using less resin for this layer is because I'm gonna place the frog in and I don't want him to move around after I position him. Now I'm gonna take my frog skeleton out of the Ziploc bag that was handed to me. This is my first time opening it up, so I'm not sure how fragile it is, so I'm gonna try to be very gentle and place him inside the resin. This is my first close-up view of him without the baggie, and he looks pretty cool. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Once he's placed in the resin, I'm gonna figure out how to position him and then let the resin cure overnight and come back again tomorrow. I'm here the next day and my second layer is cured and holding down my frog skeleton. Ultimately, I decided to position it like this so that my client can either face the block horizontally or vertically and it would still look good. He looks like he's joyfully hopping and I like that, so we're gonna go with it. Now I'm gonna pour my third layer of resin. This will be my last layer. My style is to go as thin as I can because I do think less is more when it comes to resin since it does amber over time. I want to use the least amount of resin as I can to encase an item. Just like in my previous pours, I will use my skewer to move the bubbles and then wait 20 minutes before I run my heat gun over the bubbles and then let the resin cure overnight. My piece is now finished and I'm gonna demold it to see how it came out. I'm gonna take it out of the mold and I'm gonna use a little bit of water from my plant mister to lubricate the casting, and it'll release the casting a little bit easier. Now I'm gonna wipe down the water and use a sanding block. This is a 120 grit sanding block to smooth out the edges of my piece. I'm using my sanding block at an angle so I don't scratch up the surface, and I just want to smooth out the jagged edges so that they're clean and flat. I'm almost finished cleaning this piece up, and after I'm done, I'll take it to the sink and wash down all the resin dust and come back to show you what the final result looks like. So here's what the finished piece looks like. The reflection on the wall is really cool, and you can see it works horizontally or vertically. He looks pretty happy in there. And this is the first frog skeleton I've ever casted in resin. It may be the only frog skeleton I ever cast, I'm not sure. I hope I do get more projects like this because I really enjoy them. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you again soon. Bye!